Hello, welcome to Mountain Craft Studio. My name's Christine. Come on in and I'll show you what I've been working on. Okay, so today I have a couple finishes. I'll show you all of my whips, some plans for next year, and a few collectibles and a story about why I don't kit up my projects in advance. So, starting off, I think I will just go ahead and start off with some of the finishes. This I showed several episodes ago. It is the Quaker Medallion Bird in a Grapevine by Modern Folk Embroidery. I finished mine as a pin keep. I think that the instructions for how to make this I used from one that was by Threadworks Primitives, and I just adapted it to this. And it will sit on the shelf along with a lot of my other pin keeps of my pin keep collections. I just loved it. A very beautiful design. Thank you, Jacob. The next finish I want to show is actually a project that my husband and I did together. He recently bought a lathe, and so he has wanted some things to practice on, and I showed him a picture of an antique spool holder, and he came back in and he had one made just like that. I'm sure it wasn't just like that, but then I finished the pin cushion on top, and I plan to actually use this. I think I'll probably use it with my 103s and put my silks on there as I'm working on something. But I think it'll be darling. But I think he did a pretty good job with what he had to work with and being brand new at it. I love it. It's a fun new addition to the studio. So I have been, based on what I showed in my last video, I had said that I was going to be working on the Forget-Me-Not Simple Harmony box, and I have been plugging away on that. I didn't bring the project out with me because you've already seen it a few times, and I'm just getting started on stitching the lid, and so lots of work to go on that one. I did show in the last video, what is the name of it? Anne Gould by GGR. See if I can get that through the plastic. I love this little sampler. It's darling. I said last time I want to get it done by the end of January. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen because I've seen some squirrels, but this, our plans change. We thought we were going to be down at the cabin for the entire month of January, and that whole, COVID thing has just made traveling not a possibility for me. So here I sit, but that's okay. I have plenty to keep me busy. But I got this one started. I love these colors. This will be another one that gets to live in the cabin once it's finished. I love that one, and it's living in my I'm gonna say that is, oh, I know who the designer is for the fabric. Oh, Laundry Basket Quilts. That's who that is. So I kind of got sidetracked by some other cute projects, as tends to happen at this time of year. So this one is actually the back of Rosa Ada Featherstone. So Rosa Ada Featherstone is this one, is the actual chart that Hands Across the Sea was selling. But I went gaga over the free chart, or the bonus chart that came with it, because this looks very, very close to what my original sampler was when I was a little girl. It was stitched on the same fabric. It was on a white fabric with wool threads, brightly colored wool threads. And so I had to start this, and it's not going to take long. I'll get this finished in a couple days, and I'll be thrilled, because I'd love to have, even though it's not exactly like mine from when I was a little girl, it's close. So it'll remind me of that every time I see it. So that's been a fun one to work on. And it's reminded me how much I enjoy working with wool. Just everything about wool is great. Not that I'm biased or anything, because I did have some sheep, but I do love wool. Love projects in wool. So then at the beginning of the year, I decided I was going to join Stitching in the Green Mountains on a first start for the first day of the month, for January. And we decided that we were going to, her name's Crystal. She has some darling projects. You need to get over there and check her out. But I started on Quaker Handwork, and I love it. This one's really hard to put down. It's so pretty. I'm sure you've seen this before many times, but these colors are totally my colors. I love it. I'm stitching it on 36 count espresso R&R, and I think I'm using all the called for colors. Maybe one of them I'm not, but I have a DMC in there, I think. But for the most part, they are just gorgeous colors. Gorgeous. Love it, love it. I can't wait till this one is done. So I've passed over the initials at the moment that are included in this chart, because I have lots and lots of Quaker ancestors. And I'm going to discuss that a lot more in future episodes, and what I'm planning to do with those. But I'm going to leave for now, I'm leaving the initials off, because I don't know which initials I'm going to put on which project. I have lots and lots to choose from. So I will be plowing on with this one, just because I can't put it down. I love it. That will be done soon, just because I can tell I'm highly motivated to do this one. This is another one of my project bags. I don't remember whose fabric this is. I should. Maybe it'll come to me in a minute, or maybe not. Maybe it'll come to me next week. That tends to happen. I had to laugh with, if you watch Carol, the Saltbox Stitcher, and her dustpan comments, that happens to me on a daily basis. And it'll be simple words like, house, or things like that. It's just gone. And eventually it comes back, but not until, it decides. I tell everybody my hard disk is full. It's just, you know how your computer sometimes it just, gets stuck and it won't go. That's what my brain is doing. So last fall, before Black Sampler November started, I was working on this one by A Changed World by the Scarlet House. I really love this. I think it's beautiful. I don't do a ton of modern samplers or stitching or anything like that, or modern anything really. But this one really spoke to me because of the situation that we're all in. And I thought the phrasing was excellent. The world has changed and so have we, learning to be still but yearning to be free. Isn't that the truth? I'm not entirely sure. I may change the wording on the bottom, but we'll see what happens when we get there. This is where I am at on this, and I have not touched this since Black Sampler November started, so I'm looking forward to getting back to this. After I get my little ones done that I just showed, once those are done, I will get back started on this, for sure. And I'm doing it in 103s, and I love it. They're awesome to work with. Love it, love it. So one of my other plans for this year, another work in progress. My goal for 2022 is to get all my whips finished. And for me, that's totally doable because I don't have a lot of whips. And I'll explain that in a little while. But the next one is Merrily We Welcome Spring. And this one's almost embarrassing to admit. I'm using all the called for colors because that's what attracted me to this stitch. It's absolutely gorgeous. Keeping it in this project bag, and I don't remember. I want to say that might be Blackbird. Actually, I think it is. It was a very, very early Blackbird fabrics. I think it was a charm pack, if I remember correctly. But my start on that is minuscule, but it's there. It's there. I did start it. This, and I don't remember what happened. I started it and then something happened and I set it down and then it got pushed behind some other things, and you know how those things go. But I love this. I love the colors, everything about it. So this will be my large piece that I will just occasionally go back to for this year. I don't know if it'll get done in 2022, but we'll see. It's mainly just for me to enjoy working on because I love the colors. I could sit and stare at that all day. I'm working on, okay, back up. We moved about almost a year ago, not quite, it'll be a year ago at the end of February, to a farmhouse that has, that is in need of complete updating as far as paint and all that sort of stuff. A few major remodeling projects. Actually, my husband's patching some giant holes in the plaster right now. But for the most part, it just all needs to be swapped out to my colors. And my room where I plan to sit and stitch quite a bit, that's also going to be a guest room, is going to be done in all these colors. I just love, I think they're gorgeous. And I love the colors that are on that sampler. That's the whole vibe I'm going for in there, because that's what makes me feel good. I think that's important. I think you should work on projects that make you feel good. Surround yourself with beautiful things that make you feel good. I just bought a set of dishes because I loved them, and they make me feel good. So it's a utilitarian thing that you use every day. There's no reason why it shouldn't be beautiful and something that makes you smile when you look at it. So the next thing I will show you is, I'll remind you that I am on the 25th of every month, I'm going to stitch something that relates to a holiday. And so I decided I was going to do the Prairie Schooler Barnyard Christmas. And so I have that kitted up and ready to go. I'm just waiting for the 25th. And I did do the drawing for that. In the last episode, I was giving one away because I got a little excited and ordered 2 of them. And the drawing winner is Marie Smith. So Marie, I already sent you a little message to get in touch with me on Instagram so I can get this out to you ASAP, because the 25th is right around the corner. I mean, it's, I don't know how we are 2 weeks into January already, but we are. Just like that. So I'll get this right out to you so you can work on the 25th as well. I don't know which one I'm going to start with. I should probably start at the beginning of the pattern, I guess. We'll see. Okay. So that brings me to some things with explanations. So this right now is probably my oldest whip, other than the one I showed in my original episode. That's still not finished. And then this one comes next. And I want to say this is the Needleworker Sampler by Brenda Gervais. And I know I've had this for at least, let's see, at least 10 years. Has to be. Yeah. And when I show you how much I have it done, you'll laugh. there's a reason. So I started this on the fabric. I started in the center. I got the little girl done, and that was it. And because this is 40 count fabric, and at the time I was 40 years old and realized that people over 40 can't see 40 count fabric. So I set it aside. It was driving me crazy. I don't enjoy wearing the magnifiers. I can, and I do, but if I'm gonna sit and stitch on something, I want to be able to, sit and talk to my husband or watch television or whatever. I want to be able to just be able to look up and see it. And so I finally went and got some progressive lenses. And it's amazing what I can see nowadays. I can actually now stitch this without magnifiers. So I have no more excuses. So this is going on the list. I can tell how old it is too, because I actually got frustrated with the Weeks Dye Works and I put them on bobbins. So I remember doing that. That's been a while ago. I don't store them like that anymore. But I'm not super highly motivated on this one. So this is going to be one that someone needs to push me to get this one done. I don't know why. I like it. It's a beautiful little sampler, but it's not the one that speaks to me, if that makes any sense. And that's all my whips, believe it or not. Now, I know there are people out there that have, 50 and 75, and I would go crazy with that many whips. It's just not my thing. And there's a couple reasons why. All that floss and fabric is tied up with those projects, right? And so if you may have a skein of, I don't know, what was I looking for? One of the blacks. During Black Sampler November, you couldn't buy a black anywhere. And so I may have had a black had I had 50 or 60 projects, but I wouldn't have known it because it would have been in one of those projects and I would have had to sort through them all to try to find it. That's just not the way I work. So in a future episode, I plan to show you how I organize my floss and what I do with it and how and why I don't kit my fabrics. Speaking of the black fabrics, if I kitted up every project that I wanted to make and with all the charts that I own, I would have just a huge amount of flosses, because sometimes you only need a couple strands, right, out of a skein. So if you put a whole skein in each one of them, that's just an enormous amount. So it just doesn't make any sense to me, especially given how long I've been around textiles and learning about textiles, because I know for a fact, because it's happened to me, that certain colors are going to deteriorate much, much faster than you realize. So black being the number one culprit. When I see people storing their flosses and hanging on the wall, and they say, okay, well, it's not in direct sunlight, so it won't fade, which is good. That's the way you're supposed to do it. That's absolutely good. But it is still, over time, going to deteriorate whether it sees sunlight or not. So do you really want to buy 40 years worth of floss all at once, or do you want to wait and buy fresh floss as you go? That's the question. The pandemic kind of gave us a excuse and a reason to realize that, oh, we should have been buying a little bit more. If there was a certain color you absolutely had to have. But the certain things do deteriorate rather quickly. So I'm a weaver. This is a project that I started 5 or 6 years ago. It was supposed to be a very long piece. It actually was supposed to be a long shawl that wraps around. It would have tassels on the end and whatnot. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. The colors are lovely. But if I turn this to the side and you look at it this way, you can see how wavy this is. Well, the warp that I had on the loom was made out of black wool. And as I wove, it was something that somebody had given me. I didn't know how old it was. But I was going to use it because that's what I had. As I was weaving, I noticed that that right side kept getting longer and longer, and the tension on the loom just was getting worse and worse. And what was happening is that wool was actually just deteriorating. It was literally breaking off and shredding as I wove along. And I kicked myself because I should have known this, because it's something that's happened a lot. I'm going to put a picture in as well of some rugs that I had to take all of the black warp out of, and I had to reweave the rugs because the community center where my mom volunteers, they make a lot of rag rugs, and they had bought lots and lots and lots of black rug warp, which is cotton, black cotton, but it just stopped. It just started disintegrating like very quickly. And normally a rag rug will last forever, right? But these did not. They literally just started falling apart. The little tassel ends, just as you walked across them, would just literally fall off. And the reason it's doing that is the dye in the color black. So when you go to dye a fiber, whether it's cotton or wool or whatever, you have to use what's called a mordant. And no matter what mordant you use, it is going to change that fiber in a way that the dye color will stick to it. And so when I worked at Conner Prairie, we dyed every day. We did natural dyeing. And so when I would take a skein of yarn, I could feel the skein of yarn before I put it in the pot, and it was soft and supple and like yarn should be, and you'd put it in the pot and then you'd get it back out and then let it dry, and it was a completely different feel. Sometimes it would be crunchy even. I mean, it just really does. There is a chemical change that happens. And so when that chemical change happens, it leaves it it starts that degeneration process. And it's just a natural thing. Some colors are worse than others because of what's in the dye. So the mordant and the dye color combined with black, absolutely, without a doubt, will make it worse, and will degenerate faster. I've seen it happen over and over and over again with projects throughout the years. Red tends to be another one. So any of the color, like quilters will know, any of the colors that run a lot, the blacks, the reds, if that color's leaching out, it's there's a good chance that that's going to disintegrate pretty quickly because of the mordant used and whatnot it's hard to get those colors to stick. And so they have to be even more aggressive almost. And so it just deteriorates those fibers. I'm probably really messing this up as far as explaining it, but had I thought about it a little more in advance, I could have probably made my thoughts more coherent. But I don't kit those up in advance, any of my projects, so far in advance that the fibers might start disintegrating before I use it, and especially black. And like I said, red. And red's one of my favorite colors. And I do love black too. But I just know that I've had the situation too many times where I was like, oh, it's not, and then had to go and buy new fabric or new floss or whatever. It can happen really quick. It can happen within those rugs when they were making those. It was within, actually probably within 6 years of buying the yarn to the time they were producing the end run of those rugs. And you know, there they were falling apart. So that's my little infomercial for today, I guess. But I do have a couple of projects. Like I said, this one, this needlework sampler, one that I just showed, had been hanging around for a while. And now this one, this Manor at Peacock Hill, which is a Brenda Gervais, you know, the peacock one. It has been hanging around for a while, so it is on my 2020 get this done list. I don't remember how long I've had it. Not as long, I don't think. But I do have some of the flosses that I've just now put in there to get this done, because I have had this fabric set aside for this for a while. So I don't know why it's taken me so long to do this. I love peacocks. We used to have a peacock farm that across the road from us. About 20 years ago, we lived in Indianapolis, in the city, and there was a peacock farm across the road from us. We lived near along Fall Creek. We had all kinds of animals, but these peacocks would leave their little barnyard, and sometimes we would come home and we'd look out on our back patio. We had a brick patio that was kind of lowered, and the rest of the house kind of surrounded it, and there'd be 20 peacocks back there hanging out, having a party. Anyway, and then we had a couple of peacocks when I was a kid, and they would get up on top of our house. We had a small Cape Cod style house, and they would be up there. I remember them being up there, and boy, they make a lot of noise, but it's a noise I actually really enjoy, just because I was so used to them, you know, being around. And then there was one of the peacocks when we lived in Indianapolis. He would cross our backyard every day at like 4:30. We're not sure where and then he would come back like an hour later. Not sure where he was going. Not sure if he was just checking in for his, you know, work. Like that's where the time clock was. I don't know what he was doing. But it was fun that we used to watch every time. You could pretty much set your watch by him. He would walk through the backyard. I think he had a girlfriend. Anyway, so I apologize for that crunching. I know you can hear it. This peacock chart, I had this one 20 years ago when we had that house, and we had that peacock walking back and forth every day. And for some stupid reason, I thought I was going to be able to do it with working and kids and everything else I had going on in my life at that time. It didn't happen, for sure. So probably 6 or 8 years ago, I sold it. And, or I may have given it away. I might have just put it in a, maybe. I think I sold it. Anyway. But I love this. It's gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? And I want it because I love peacocks. And then I just saw this discounted the other day and I bought it again. Not that it's going to happen anytime soon, because that is a ton of work. It's huge. But maybe someday, maybe if I get this little peacock done, I'll get the big peacock done too someday. We'll see. They're on my radar for 2022. The other thing that is on my radar, the other samplers, every time I watch Carol Saltbox Stitcher, I see this sampler behind her, and she just did a video. I just watched her video on what was on her wall. But every time I watch her, I see that and I think, oh, I want that. And so this is absolutely happening in 2022, for sure. Hands down. I know that. I just gotta find a fabric. I thought I had it, but maybe I don't. So I'll have to, any fabric will work on this though. But I love it. It's one of my favorites. And then Anne Wright by Samplers Not Forgotten. How can you not love this? This is so beautiful. So beautiful. And it's going to be done with the called for, I think it's all the called for silks and the fabric. I'm pretty sure I bought this as a kit. I don't always buy things as a kit, but sometimes. Sometimes. If it's something like this where I look at it and I'm like, yes, I love that. I love everything about it. This will definitely happen in 2022. So those two, I can tell you, absolutely. And then there's always all the smalls. That's what gets me. I get involved in smalls because they're like, oh, that's not going to take very long. Well, if there's 20 of them, it will. So, but I will show you my want to do smalls. Now, these are the only things so far that I have kitted up. And because most of these were bought as a kit from Country Sampler. And there's no reason to change what they do. They do everything perfectly. So, first up is the Fresh Picked Pin Keep, which is actually bigger than a pin keep, but it is gorgeous. That's, I know for sure, going to happen. Rose Cottage Sampler Pin Keep. I went gaga when I first saw this released. Love these colors. This will definitely happen. I've been wanting to do it ever since I got it. I've been seriously tempted to start it a few times. The Feathered Nest Pin Book. This is another one I've had sitting in my do next pile. This one's getting done for sure. I love it. Love it. The Simple Pleasures Sewing Pouch. This is so small and so easy. I don't know why I haven't done it so far. So this one's getting done. And then I just recently bought this one. This is the A Merry Christmas Sampler by La Di Da. How cute is that? Like, that's just darling. It's, looks like it's stitched on 40 count pecan butter by Lakeside Linen. And then it has these deep, gorgeous colors. It's just a small one. I can get that done. Right. And then these are, everything else is going to be sort of pin keeps. I have a pin keep collection. And these are all the same. These are the Scattered Seed Samplers, little kits from this last year. Everything she puts together is super cute, and it has just exactly what you need. It's darling. Darling, darling. This one, Mockingbird's Message, pin keep. Spring's Messenger. I may try to do one of these each quarter. The quarter in which it came out, since I didn't do it last year. Home Sweet Home pin keep. How darling is that? So cute. And then Pray for Peace, which is just classic, and the colors are just fantastic. Love that. And then finally, we have the Floral Motif Sampler. Now, I'm not going to do the sampler, which is gorgeous. I may do the sampler someday, but my thinking right now is I have several things, some fun finishes, some boxes, some whatnots, and I'm going to use some of the motifs here to do them. I have some DMC colors picked out for the first one already that I plan to do, but a lot of cute motifs on there for a lot of fun little projects. And let's see, that's pretty much it as far as cross stitch. My cross stitch goals for 2022. I don't really want to call them plans. I don't even know that they're goals. I'd call them more of a vague outline, because I know I won't stick to it, because something new and shiny comes along. I'm like, oh yeah, I want that. I know how I am, and I don't put so much pressure on myself that I can't have something that I really want to do. I used to do that all the time, but that's when I worked, and I'm retired now, and I don't have to do that. So it was hard to learn to take that pressure off of myself. I think a lot of us do that, especially women. We tend to put that pressure on ourselves, which, I suppose it's good to have some pressure. But I think you reach a point where you just need to enjoy every moment and focus on that and do what feels right. And I won't make myself slog through something that I'm not enjoying. I just can't. It's not, time is far too precious. So one of the things I've wanted to do for a long time are these drop cloth samplers. They're sold on Etsy. You may have seen them. They are for embroidery. It's just a pre-printed panel, and then you do your practice stitches on them. And I actually bought these because I have a place I want to put them, because I think they would be cute in the room I have for my grandkids to spend the night in. There's 3 different ones. There was this is the drawing stitches sampler. This one was the original, and the first one I showed was the sequel. And I think these can be framed really cute. Probably yeah. I have a little bit of a plan for the flosses. I'll try to come up with some kind of, so it's not all crazy. But I think those will be darling. And this is something that I think that I could just sit down. I'll pick a couple days a week, and before I start on my other projects, I'll do a little bit of each one, of each different type of stitch, and then the next thing you know, these will be done. Then the last thing I have is my collectible of the episode, and this is a newly acquired one I absolutely love. So I've mentioned before, I collect sewing boxes, and look at this one. How darling is this? So this actually is a child's sewing box, obviously, and it has little images that definitely put it into like the Depression era. Isn't that cute? I think this is so cute. It's just an empty, there's nothing really on the inside, but how stinking cute is that? This will definitely be going. I have a lot of old toys, dolls and things like that, and I think this will be so cute with some, vintage sewing things. It'll be darling. I love it. Love it. I think I bought this off Etsy, believe it or not. Yep. Super cute. Okay. And I think that's it for today. Those are my goals, or vague outlines. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting now that I'm doing this video to go back next year and see how many of these actually happen. It'll be fun. In the meantime, take care. I have some other stuff that I'm working on out here to show you soon, hopefully. So I'll look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.